So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining this first ever Phidias webinar. I assume you hear me correctly. If not, you have a chat box or question box so you can say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not hearing you. So the purpose of this meeting is to show you the main features and the main functionalities in Confluence, which is, as you know, the Phidias project collaborative tool and for management of information. And the first thing I shall say is that I'm not a specialist, I'm not an expert in Confluence. I just learned how to use the tool a few weeks ago when implementing the first batch of Confluence for Phidias. So that's my return of experience. And you may have questions I cannot answer. Marion will probably help me. But there, it's from, let's say, trained beginners to other beginners. And the main objective is for us to be able to start creating our own space and organize our own work on Confluence, and we will learn by doing. So this webinar is not on a PPT presentation. I have implemented all the things we're going to see today directly in the Confluence space because I thought it was most powerful, or it was better for the demonstration to show directly what we can do with the tool. And what you see is my screen linked in the Confluence space. So you can register with your credential account and follow live what we are doing here for this session. As well, the session, I'm going to talk, but the session shall be interactive. So if you have any questions on the flow, please say hi, I have a question, and ask it either by writing into the question chat box, or you can unmute yourself and well, say hi, I have a question, so that anybody can appreciate or learn what it's about. Okay. So let's start with the introduction. So first thing is that, of course, the tool has a full documentation in which you will find other tips and how to do things. So the full documentation is available at this link. So if I click here, I have the beginning of the full documentation. So feel free, if you have any questions that will be not answered during this webinar, to just have a look at it. And Marion kindly selected two useful pages, which is how to create content. We'll see a lot of features here, but also feel free to complete this course with this page. And interaction, that means how to discuss work with your team. So feel free to go back after this webinar to these pages if you have any question on the tools. So what is Confluence? Let's start by the beginning. It's, as said, a collaborative tool, and it allows you to create and share content. That's the two main points. So it's really simple and very useful, of course, for projects like Phidias. We are using this tool under a license, which is owned by CNES. So that means that the space is administered by Nicolas Cazenave. I'm not an administrator myself, so any question on how setting up or to solve problem, let's say, linked to registered participants or to add someone, shall be go directly either through Nicolas or through Marion. Every person involved in a project has a single account, and you can check out who has currently an account on the Phidias space that goes into WP1. I've set up a Confluence dashboard for us in WP1, and one of the first features is the user list. So here you can see all the people who registered already. So If you think that one of your colleague or one of the partner you are working with is missing here, please set a warning or write to Marion to say, hey, this person should register. Okay, so that was for really basic introductions. Now, going down, the main features is about the content, because we have seen Confluence is all about creating and sharing content. Content is structured with two general types. Let's say the blog articles and the pages. The pages is really the main block in which we're going to work. So I'm going to go really briefly with the blog articles. So the blog articles you can see here with the pictures I've taken from them. How is it organized? So when you go into the blog category, it's organized by chronological order. And when you display a blog article, you have, of course, a title, the person who created it. So the content I wrote directly for this example, and already displaying a few features that are really useful, meaning that you can, of course, link part of your text to either spaces into the Phidias Confluence space or to external web. You can also ping or saying hi to someone with the @ feature that helps you to either attribute a task, we're going to see that later, or to let's say display a user profile, ping that user. So here that's Boris and Alexia have chosen for the display of the video done by Trust IT during the kickoff meeting. And other features you're going to find in the blog and pages category is to attribute labels. We're going to also talk about that a bit later, and to write comments on that. So if you're going to go live, actually the blog category has a few articles that I have wrote for test purposes, and you shall know that in the home page of the space, the blog posts are displayed. So you're going to see the latest blog posts here directly in the home page. So you can use the blog to, I don't know, display some news or to give us insights on what's going on that's not going to be into the pages. Back on that. So that's for the blog categories. The main block, as said, is the pages. And you have several ways to create pages. Well, that's not true, I should correct that. And to set up the position and the tree structure of the space. One big warning to everyone that's going to use the space is to pay really the most attention on how you choose the title for your page, because you will be able to link the content on one page to the other pages, saying, hi, please have a look on that meeting minutes, for example, or on another page, hey, this is the specifications we had for that WP. And since we are using the name, so this is the title of the pages, to link one page to another, we must not use generic names that can be used by other users. Otherwise, it will be really confusing when we will set up the link. So avoid generic names such as meetings, for example, because we're going to have a lot of meetings notes there. So please, for the meetings, specify by the date, the type of the meeting, and for example, in the meetings category, so this is the meetings for the project, I have named by technical boards, and the pages dedicated to technical boards as the date of the technical board and the number of the technical board, so nobody can confuse that title. Really pay attention to that. We'll see later on that this warning also applies to the documents you're going to upload in the space, because as well you can link any content in the pages with the documents you have uploaded, and so it's really important to have specified name for your document so that it can be found out really easily and not being confused with other contents uploaded by the other users. So really pay attention to that. So I say there are several ways to create a page in Confluence. The first and easy one is to create a page from scratch. That's quite easily. You can just position yourself on the parents page you want to insert a page. Let's say, for instance, I want to create a new page for WP7. So I go in WP7 and I just use the create button. That is up front. And ta-da, I will start create a page from scratch. So that's the first method. Let me go back to where we were. The other method is to create a page from a template. So Confluence allows you, well, as already defined templates. I didn't find out how to modify them if you want to. So for the moment, take that that is fixed template. And for that, it's quite easy. You use the same thing, position yourself in the tree structure and use the little 3 button here, just at the top of the page, and it will display create from template. You just click and then select the template you want to use, which mostly be decision, meeting notes. That's from there that you can display blog posts and other things I'll let you discover afterwards. For that, either you can use that button thing, or you can also define a macro. So macro, we're going to speak of that later on, but you shall know that there is a macro that allows you to display a button from which you can directly create a page on a specific template. So that's the second way on how to create a page. And the third way, you can import a page from Microsoft Word. And for this, it's quite simple, but still not in the front where all the 2 buttons were, but it's in the front on the right. You have 3 buttons on the page. So click here and you can decide to import Word document. I've made a try of this feature last evening, and it works quite well, I must say. In the process of importing the document, Confluence will ask you if you want to create a new page or to import the content in the page you are in. So that's the third way to create a page. And from here, you don't have to do any copy-paste. I mean, the tool automatically goes from what is in your Microsoft Word directly into the tool. So that's quite powerful. Okay, so that's for creating the page. And once you have creating a page, for each page you have an environment, let's say. So you will find some features as there is in the blog articles. So define a label. Really powerful to share content, because you will be able to automatize some searches or to regroup content defined by labels. And labels you will find in the blog articles, for the pages, and for the documents. So that's for the 3 categories. So in page environment, we have labeling. Labeling is at the bottom of the page. Here, this page has no labels. for the moment. I don't know, define a label webinar, for instance. You can comment, as said, you can like, if you like the content. You can export the content of the page to PDF on Word, so that's the same at the top on the right, 3 buttons, and you have here to export to PDF on Word. And as such, you can share the page, you can copy the page, which can be interesting if you don't find in the defined template of Confluence what you want to use. You can define yourself a template page that you will copy afterwards for your own purposes. That can be used for templating, homemade templating here. And also, which will be really useful, is to switch to the pages attachments, which means the documents, images, and so on you have put for this page. So in this page, we have 4 attachments. And if we have a look, so it displays the list of attachments. You see the structure, I have the name. So as said, please be specific with your name. Here, I think we cannot confuse because it's Confluence webinar, okay, so that we know what it's about. And there's a little description of what this file is about. The person who uploaded it, size, any label you want to display. And if you want to comment, you can also look at the properties, delete the attachments, or edit it. On the attachments page, you can download all of them, which can be useful. Maybe, well, I know this feature is going to be used by Marion and I when sending batches of deliverables, for example, to the INEA. Use it as you want to use it. And from this page, you can also, if you have a lot of documents to upload, just drop files here, and it will upload all the documents you want that will be attached to the page. Really easy then. Okay, going back. So that was the page environment when you create one. Okay, so congratulations, you have created a page. You know what it's the surroundings of the page. So now the page will have to find its place into the tree structure. As said, blog articles are automatically ordered by chronological order. And for the pages, Confluence is a sandbox. So you are able to organize it your way, which is nice, but well, we have a blank page here, so you can define anything you want. And what you see here is the current structure of the Phidias space. I had the occasion to present that to the technical and management board, so maybe we'll have a quick look of the tree structure of PHIDIAS Confluence for everybody. What we have done, well, this structure was defined by the PMO, so Marion and I, and well, the most simple thing is the block you see here with all WPs. What we wanted here is to create a space, well, a route for every WP, so that every WP will organize its work under Confluence with that dedicated route. For the other categories, let's say we have implemented. It's related to the general management of the project. So at the first you have the project office, which will give you a lot of useful information, general information about the project, which is the project documents, where you will find the latest version of the consortium agreements, of the grant agreements, so that kind of thing, contractual documents that frame the project. You'll have the Gantt and the project timeline, so you can check out in the timeline where an action starts, when a deliverable is due, and so forth and so on. And the budget category, which displays for the moment the budget as it is at the beginning of the project. But here we're going to follow the financial aspects of the project. So that's for the project office. And the home page of the project office gives you the contacts of us. So starting by the coordinator, then Marion and I, and you also have contact of the funding authority, which you shall not use. But anyway, it's there in case of emergency. And well, you shall not use it because the coordinator is the responsible of the communication of the entire consortium with the agency, which you probably know already. Good. So back on the tree structure, we decided to have that project tools category, so you really easily find the tools we're going to use during the project. So that's our webinar is obviously under this category, so you can find out after this session all the information we are going to have seen today. As well, the home page of project tools display the main tools we're going to use during the project, including the mailing lists. So if you have a doubt about the mailing lists, you can find them here. Marion is managing the mailing list, as you may know, and on the left are the external tools we're going to use during the project. Okay, back on the project structure. So that was project tools, project office, logos and templates. As it said, it's a simple way to find out the templates you're going to use in the project and the logos of either the project, the CEF program, and the partners. So if you need them for communication, they are all there. Phidias committees as well, simple information at the root is the composition of the Phidias committees, which we're going to update in the following weeks, where we have the technical board and management board, as you know, and the two other committees, which is security and users and scientific, are on the way. So if you have a doubt on who is on the committee, that's going to be there. Of course, a section dedicated to meetings, no difficulty here, sorted by mostly category, which is kickoff, consortium, technical boards, and the committee meetings. So that meetings of the project, mostly. You may want into your WP section to display also meetings area. Please do so extensively. And always keep in mind, and I probably have to change that name, that names of the pages shall be really specific. I think also, because we discussed of having a dedicated template to meetings, that's if we have a specific template different from the Confluence specific one, I'm gonna put it there. So as said, you have an area per WPs. And finally, last but not least, we have the deliverables category, which all the partners going to use, because we will use that area to for our deliverables process, which means that every one of you who is responsible to write it will have to put the draft version here for anybody to have access to it. Then reviewers will put the reviewed version here, the reviewed version, transparent. Then the coordinator of the deliverable will have to produce a final versions that going to be transmitted to the management board who have to approve the deliverables, and then we will have this space, quite important, where you will find the version submitted to the agency. So the final version as approved by the management board, which is going to be the references for the deliverables. Sorry, hard to say for a French person. And of course, intermediate reports that will have their dedicated areas as well. Okay, so that's how our space is currently structured. Of course, it's going to evolve during the projects, and the main objective for the end of the year is for every partner and the WP leader to define how they will work and structure their own areas in Confluence. So that's for the tree structure. Not so brief introduction, but important. I think you may be interested to know is how to change the position of a page into the tree structure. Because let's say you have created a page, or you after a while you decide to create a new section and you want to remove page from an older section to the new one. It's possible, and you have two ways to do that. You can either go at the front of the page, click on the three little points, and use View in Hierarchy or Move. I've used both for test purposes, and my favorite is View in Hierarchy because there you're going to have access to a general tool for the space to be organized. So here you see the tree structure of the entire Phidias space, and you just have to click and drop the pages on where you want it to put in the Confluence space. So let's say I want to change in the project office the budget and the Gantt. I just have to click and drop the budget page here before the Gantt. But of course I can change the budget page section. Let's say I want to put it at the beginning of the tree structure. It's as simple as that. And I can put it back again. So that's how you can change the position of a page into the tree structure. All right. Does anybody has a question so far? Because we are at the end of this little introduction on the Confluence space. I guess no. When you will come back on this page, I've displayed some did you know features that you may be interested to learn about, and especially, yes, one last point before going to the basic edition of pages is that on the left I have this section one where I can see where am I in the tree structure and so on. If I want to gain some space, for instance, to read the table, I can hide it with the two arrows at the bottom and back again. I see there is noise in the background. Shouldn't be. Just tell me if noises are there again. All right. Okay, so we know how to create a page. We know how to position it in the tree structure. We know the environments. Let's start doing some content here, and it goes with the basic editing of the pages. Here's It's going to be quite quick for this section because that's features we're really used to work with. And as well, make a thing, I have chosen several styles of how to display the table of contents of a page, which I have used in the first part. And you will see here, there's another table of contents in another format, so you can feel some differences, let's say, about it. About the page, what I strongly recommend to you is that, well, to start drafting, either you have created a page, so you are directly in the editing mode, or of course we can click to edit here, and you will open the editing tool. So what I do recommend is to start editing, because when you create a page, you just have that title feature, so you type your title and you have nothing else. First things first is to open the page layouts and to define section. I think it's, well, it's my way to do things, so that's my recommendation. Of course, you will do what is the most suitable for your habits, let's say, or way of working. But still, I find it really useful to start structuring your document with the sections. So as a start, the page layout. Then I also suggest that at the beginning, for the first section, so section 1, section 2, section 3, you can add as many sections as you want, is to insert a highlighting message. This is really simple, going through the macros, we're going to see afterwards. But then at the top, you display the main information on what your page is about. And since this is for easy recognition on what content we're gonna read or find in the page, because let's say in your WPs, you're gonna know what you're working on. It's not a problem. But that's an open space. And with an open space, you want the other partners or the PMO, which can be interested for reporting purposes, to know what is this page about. So displaying, okay, just a sentence on how this page is dedicated to will help the others to find out the information you're working on. So it's really recommended to start editing your page with that. Okay. So back to the trees. So like I said, you want first to start with the page layout. This is this little button, you see the image, and you have here transparent features about hiding section, removing one, to move them into your structure, and you have several possibilities, either a block, either two columns, two-column section, two columns with a feature, or three-column section. Style is not difficult as well. You know how it works. Here on the left, you can decide to have headers. So I think there's 5 to 6 headings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and paragraph. You can bold, italic, sublimed, change the color, and all the small features for the content you are typing. I must say that's font style, it's quite narrow, the options we have, especially you cannot change the size of the text. Well, that's a limitation. So, well, you should know that's really basic here. And of course, you can put the text to the left, in the center, or to the right. So that's quite simple. As for the lists, to list a category with bullets or with numbers, it's quite transparent. You can, of course, include tables with that little button with a square, which is quite known as well, with basic also editing table thing. You can, of course, add lines, add columns, remove them. You can, sorry, I don't like the term in English, but you can merge cells, you can split cells, you can delay the table on the right and change colors. So that's quite simple. Here at the left, you have responsive or the option to fix the table length, so height and width. I personally would use responsive all the time because I'm going to be using different screen environment, let's say. So unless you're really sure you want a special special definition of your table, put responsive, which is the option by default. Okay, so no real difficulties here. As for the table of contents, of course, as you have defined headers and so on, you can automatically display a table of contents. Several options will be available for you to display your table of contents. Make a choice on the most aesthetic you like. So I've displayed to you two examples. So that's a flat table of contents for this page that I use to put into brackets. Okay, that's an option. The other one, which would more be linked to my style of table of contents, is the usual vertical display with numbers of the different categories. It's up to you. Right. Okay. Then you can, of course, insert links, files, images into your content. There's through the little button here. When you click here and you don't have upload the documents in the page through the attachments, which we have seen earlier, the tool asks you to upload, if you want to upload the documents, well, either from your computer or from other sources, going to be uploaded and put in the attachment category. When you will find out, as say, all the documents attached to one page. And as say, also, please be specific with your documents' names. That is very important for us to be able to find the right document if we have to point it and to link it during the course of the project. So be specific from the beginning. Otherwise, there's no difficulty here. An interesting feature is to insert a task. So you have that little button about a task, which is the tipping form here, task lists that you can use. Just click here to insert the task, and what's interesting about that is that it will display this little square, which by default is the task is to be done, and you can assign the task using the @ so, and you can double dash, is that double dash, I'm not sure, to select a date. And by doing that, following this little square, it will automatically assign that person to this task, and that shall be done to this date. So this is my example to animate this webinar today. It's me and it's today. And to show you maybe a bit more how it can be used, I put, I think, where is it? At the beginning, yes. So at the home page, I have put a feature of Phidias Next Actions, which is the display of every task in the space. That may be configured, this box, which is a macro, and you can choose to display only the task assigned to one person, or the task with a specific label, I think, like that. Well, you can configure it anyway. So here there are no configurations, so it's bringing on all the tasks that are due in the project. And once you click, let's say, so you see here, here will be changed. I'm sorry, Jean-Christophe, but I didn't have time to change it, but are not due. Anyway, let's concentrate on this task of today, which is to animate this webinar. If I say, hey, okay, this has been done in the proper page, so back to basic editing, I say, yep, okay, we're good with that. Automatically, in the list of actions, it will disappear. So it has disappeared. The next actions is to finalize the minutes of the first technical board. Okay, so that's quite powerful to assign tasks with due dates to one person. Really easy to use. You can of course mention a user, so let's say use the @ to say hi, Quentin shall know that we are working that on this page, or anyone you're working with. You can insert a status. You have 5 colors, so insert a status is, sorry, I should have done some print screen here. So inserting a status is the plus, and you have status. Simple. Then you will type your text and choose the color. And for instance, so that's just to show you today, but it's already been used in the deliverables section. So at the homepage of deliverables, it's our table with all due dates, with all information related to them. So reviewer is going to soon be there, and at the right you can see the status of the deliverables. Again, Jean-Christophe, sorry, the too late is going to be moved for 14. So for the moment we have 14 deliverables, and of course I have put a little code. Let's say that in blue or gray it's 14, submitted in green, and late in red. That's not automatic, so this should be changed by hand. So I use status wisely so that you can be sure that you're going to maintain the status once it's done or not, or any status you want to display using that. Okay, back to basic editing, and well, almost the end. It's to insert a gallery. So to insert a gallery that's still at the top of the page with the plus, you have gallery, which is just above the table of contents, and the gallery will go through all your attachments in the page that are images and gonna display them. So you see, as you see, I've put print screens here. That's is going back with the gallery of the page. And to show you another example of the gallery is in the kickoff meeting. So in the kickoff meeting, I have uploaded a selection of photos that have been taken during the meeting. And here they are displayed with the gallery. And if you click there, you can scroll out the photos, you can download them, share them, so on, so forth. Right, so that's for basic edition. I think there's really no difficulties here, but you shall know that it exists. And before going to the macros, do you have any question? I suppose not. Well, macros. So we've seen some of them. For status, for example, is a macro. Here we're going to talk about the macro you're going to find in the other macros category. So if I click to the plus, I'm going to other macros. I will have that selection that I will be able to use to organize or to have more fancy way to display my content or to display automatic content, which is something that shall be used every time you can, because then the tool is self-sustaining. I mean, when I display a tree structure using a macro, I don't have to change it if I change the pages, if I add pages, if I delete pages, it's going to be all by himself. So for sustainability of that space during the project, I mean, if the 3 years project, you shall use that as much as possible so that the space is more proper, automatically updating itself. All right. And it's easier to use. So, I didn't go over all the macros because I thought some of them were not really useful for all purposes, and or some of them I didn't manage. Well, one of them I didn't manage is to integrate graphics, which is a bit more complicated to set up. So I'll probably make an editing, but I'm sorry for that I'm not able today to explain to you how to integrate graphics directly into Confluence. Sorry for that. All right, highlight elements. So as said, I really recommend that you start creating the content of a page with highlights. You have 4 types of highlights, which are information, giving a tip, warning, or a note. So for instance, the information, you can, yes, okay, I didn't say that, but you can either search the macro through all the macros category, or if you know the name of the macro, you can use that little sign here that I don't know if it's translated, but this one. And you type the macro's name, suggestion will come automatically. So that's you don't even have to click, but that can be done straightforward while writing. How to insert a macro. So you shall be in editing mode. You know that, editing here. And I say using that little sign, name of the macro, or all the macros. And what I've done is that here you have the name of the macro. You can search into the macros section and then click to integrate it. Most of the macros have you can say that, well, change parameters of them, as it's quite cosmetic, so I'm not going into details here. It's going to be quite boring if I go into the details of all of them. It's quite straightforward, so you just have to read what you can parameter and then apply. So what we're going to see is the results here of the information. So with that little I, optional title is to, you can add a title or no title at all. And then you type the text. Same for the tip, same for the warning, same for the notes. You cannot change the colors, and just to display a highlight in it. How to display a tree structure. You can display either the children of a page here or an entire tree structure. Here the parameter allows you to define which page you're going to use as the root of the display, and the length, the width of the structure you want to display. For instance, I want to start from the meetings area, and I want to display just the child, and not the children of the children. So, and it goes like that. So here, that's displaying the webinar on Confluence tree structure. That's the basis of this to display. So of course they are the same, but you can use that 2 times, doing whatever you want. Display blog articles. So here you're going to define, here we are displaying 2 blog articles, but you can display more, let's say 10, 20, whatever you want. You can display only the title or little excerpts here, or the full text. So here we have the 2 latest blog articles with the title and excerpts, and you can go deeper. You can also sort out, here it's by chronological order, but you can sort by edition. You can reverse the order if you want to. And that's the macro we are using in the home page to display the latest blog articles when you land into the space. No difficulties here. You can display a navigation map based on labels. So that's why labels are quite important. We have to check another macro that displays the list of the space labels. So the current list is the boards. We have file lists with management, meeting notes, and technical boards. Well, my bad, I've used meeting label. I should change to be more specific. Define in your WPs if you want to use some labels that you will be able to use, for instance, to sort out the pages related to that labels. Let's say, I don't know, for instance, in WP2 that can be useful to discuss with the other WPs, to say, okay, all the pages are going to be related to data with labeled data. And so you can follow up all the pages related to data during the course of the project. So that can be an example of how we can use it during the project. Here, this is the meeting label that is used, and so these are the pages that, as the meeting label, I can access directly by clicking those little squares. So that's the navigation map. You can display also external content. Here you have the YouTube Phidias channel with the interview of Boris during the kickoff meeting, and you can also find them out in WP7 PHIDIAS library. So it's another way to display that external content. I've created a table. I have mentioned the user, so here it's Boris. Pascal, I think now you have an account, so I shall change that. Alex as well is there, and you have the link through the YouTube channel. Well, I think this macro will mainly be used by WP7, but anyway, it can be also useful for the other ones. Right. So we have seen at the beginning that you can create a button, and when you click on it, you directly access to the creation of a page through already designed templates by Confluence. So that's a macro that has been used. Here it's created from template. You can of course write whatever you want for this button. As said, it only links to already defined, already designed template in Confluence, and if we have to design our own templates, we're going to use the copy way to create a page. Style macros to expand text, so you can hide text in your page, then click here to expand. Nothing difficult here, but it exists, can be useful. Gallery, we've always already seen that. You can display an excerpt from another page. Yeah, this one is a test. I'm sorry, I didn't really succeed. I wanted to display an excerpt from the webinar on Confluence page, but I didn't really find out how to do that. Maybe it's not linking to the good part of the document. Well, it exists. And it can be useful to link content, to have cross-linked between WPs. May use that one. You can also, but I didn't go really deep into that feature, make quotations of other pages in other pages. And eventually, if you have made some duplication, you can integrate a page into a page. Okay, so displaying the list of the labels, we've seen that. You can include a search bar. We have one now in the home page that is searching throughout all the space, so the entire Phidias space. You can integrate a lorem ipsum if you want to. You can display an Excel file. So you shall first upload the Excel file you want to display the page in the attachments, and then you can use this macro displaying an Excel file to put it directly in your page. Pay attention of how it integrates the page width and length. Here I have limited this display, which is the deliverables table, to number of lines and columns into my file, because otherwise it was displaying all the Excel, which was not really suitable for being in that. It's going to be in that space here defined by the macro. So if you want to navigate in the file here, you have to slip the bar, and for big files with a lot of lines and columns, that's not really useful or functional. Well, it's not really convenient working that way. So be aware that there is a limitation here regarding visibility and usability. As well, it's not working, but yesterday can display a PowerPoint presentation. Same for, you can display directly a word that is attached to this page. I've tried it yesterday evening as well with the minutes of the kickoff meeting, and we have a lot of pages there, so it was taking a lot of space and it was not really useful. But for Word documents, you shall ask yourself, is it not better if I import the document and create a new page with the content? But you can display a Word if you want to, and maybe useful in some cases. Include a task report. So that's the feature we are using. You have seen at the home page to display the entire tasks that are due in the space. Here, looking good, no incomplete, because I have said that in basic editing. Okay, it was done. Because what I've chosen as parameter for this task report is to give me all the tasks that were into the webinar on Confluence and related pages. So yeah, if I note, okay, like that, but I can also say here, okay, it's done, thank you. Then, okay, task is done. And the two last features I wanted to show to you with the macros is to display a user's profile picture. By the way, if you didn't put a picture of yourself with your account, I encourage you to do so, because, well, it's nice if you have to display that, and especially, well, not only the picture, but the user's profile, which can be useful actually in some points. Say, hey, this is this guy who is responsible to do that, and this is the context of the people, and that's just typing the macro user profile, and then I used Marion as a test. Sorry, Marion, you don't know that. But you will have the little photo and then the little email. And if you have also put as an information your phone numbers, it's going to display the phone numbers. Marion, I've chosen not to put phone numbers for the moment. But for instance, so that's the same macro user profile with me. And you can see here my mail and here my phone number. All right. Well, it's almost the end. I think, yeah, we're quite ambitious with the 2 hours thing. Yeah, before going to the end with the organization and some rules, here I've put an example and on the column visualization, so that you have a live example on how it works. So this is for the single column, and well, showing you also the lorem ipsum thing. 2 columns, so equally divided. One with the left sidebar, sorry, the right side, what's the other one? The 3 columns, and 3 columns with sidebars. For instance, at the beginning of this page, I have a 2 column with right, is that, yes, with the right sidebars, in which I am displaying the structure of webinar and Confluence, so that you can navigate only in the webinar pages. Here there's no text because, well, it's not the meaning to put one. And if you see the edition of this page, it's just the macro lorem ipsum. That the tool that you see here is that I decided to display only 2 paragraphs of the lorem ipsum. You can choose to display just 1, 3, 4, how many you want. And for instance, if I'm editing and I want to display another one, so I put this sign, I get macro suggestions. I'm sorry for it is in French, that one, because when I'm typing it's in English. All the names I've put in the macros page are in English, but still I don't know why is still putting that in French. So that's for information, status, gallery, and table of contents, if valid. But back to the lorem ipsum example. So yeah, that's the normal one, and I can either remove or edit. Quite simple. Ask me the number of paragraphs. By default, it's 3. I want to display 2, and then it's okay. Up. All right, I think that's basically all I wanted to show you today. So as the key takeaways, the general rules, I've said that before, but I will say that again and again and again. Choose carefully how you name pages and the documents. Really basic rules, follow it. You can label your pages, doing a lot of stuff, assign tasks, as many as you want to you and your partners. And we have seen a lot of macros. Take the time to think of them because it will impact the way you are structuring your information. And okay, so bit of learning at the beginning, but it will prove to be really, really useful during the course of the project or at the end, until the end. I must say it will be more effective. All right, so that was all on my side that I wanted to show you. Do you have any questions? I guess so. So I have one question for you. Was it useful? Is it a bit confusing, this tool, or do you find it's totally okay? You can start using it now because that's the goal, actually. Julia, I don't master the webinar parameters. No question from Shell. A lot of features. Yes, I know. That's lots of features. For the basic editing, and I've been through, but really you already master them. Maybe for macros, I've been a bit too much exhaustive, but I wanted to give you a global overview because for certain purposes, it can be interesting to use one or the other. I think tasks and task reports is really important. Highlighting is quite important. And then regarding you need galleries, maybe for documentation and so on. Okay, so that was your return. If there are no other questions, I shall conclude this webinar saying that, well, first, as said, you have the documentation available. Second, we are quite happy to answer your questions with Marion, especially if you have a question for implementation on a WP structure, please ask us using either tagging Confluence or the usual PMO mailing list. And well, that's all for me. So I shall say a good afternoon to you and see you and read you soon. I don't know if you can read the questions you are using to say goodbye. Don't know, but if not, well, everybody say goodbye.
Hi, we're closing the webinar now. Thank you so much for attending.